Now, I get asked this question a lot of times, like, Leila, how can I improve the way I speak? I love listening to different voices, the tones, the sounds, the uniqueness of it, and just how can we improve, imitate different qualities and stuff like that. Now, obviously, today's podcast, you can get it in the blog. There's a video on my Instagram page, whatever format kind of suits you. So pick whichever one works. If you're like, listen to me, great. You want to watch the video? Great. Go on YouTube, read it, go on the website. Yeah, I'll put the information below in the comments. So I get asked this question a lot of times. How can I improve my speaking voice? And I like people to tell me, like, I like the way you sound. And like, I've got, someone might tell me I've got a big presentation at work or trying to sound engaging on the podcast. And how can I do it? And I give like tips and advice. And I think, like, the sound of your voice is like a cake, yeah? It's the delicious results of different ingredients mixed together. This includes, like, your tone, speed and volume, all of this which adds up to the final result of how you sound. And did you know, yeah, that there's studies that suggest people determine how trustworthy or dominant or kind or nice or friendly are just within the first 500 milliseconds of just hearing your voice. Can you imagine? So, let me give you some tips on how to improve your voice. How's it going to work here? So before you can stand in front of a crowd or click on your mic for podcasting, talk about anything that pops in your head, you got to think first. Your body goes through three main processes for your voice production, yeah? Your lungs, your voice box, and your voice projection as well. So your voice is a result, as I said, of like a complex mixture of like different layers and stuff. And they've all got to work in harmony. So you got to check, if you're not sounding that good, there's something not working out in your harmony, right? Some people actually have a nice sounding natural voice. Some people don't. Some people have just got an average voice, kind of not really standoutish, etc. First tip, let's rock and roll this one, yeah? Record yourself speaking. I know you probably ain't going to like this one, yeah? But there's often a large difference between what we're hearing and what other people are hearing when we speak, yeah? Like, there's obviously a big science behind it, right? Right, the sound reaches your inner ear by two separate paths, right? Through the air that travels into our ear and then through bone-conducted sound through the tissues of your head. And when we speak, we hear both, right? But others, they only hear the air-conducted version. So it's important to understand how your listeners will hear you. So record your entire presentation or, when you're speaking, don't think like, oh my gosh, I sound like an idiot. Because you may not sound like an idiot to the person who's listening, if that makes sense. Another thing, record yourself, when you're speaking so you can hear yourself back. Volume. Are you talking loud enough for whoever it is that needs to listen to you? Because if you're in a room of 3 people, all right, cool. That volume might be right. But if you're in an audience of hundreds or your mic ain't working that well, you got to think like, can people hear me when I'm talking? And your speed. Now, this is one that always gets me. Because I think I'm a naturally fast speaker, and I think this might have happened because growing up in a household of 5 girls, yeah, you got to get your point across quickly, You ain't got time for no la-di-da and, I think of this and that. The food or the thing or whatever it is you wanted to go and do that day is gone. So that's probably why I'm probably a naturally fast speaker. I do have to think like, let me just calm this one down. But it also depends on who I'm around. So think about who's listening to you. That should determine how slowly or quickly you speak. What's the age group? What's their knowledge of what it is you're talking about? And I read when I was researching for this podcast that the speaking rate is like 120 to 160 words per minute. Like, where do you clock in? You can do this by, once again, getting out your phone, reading a sentence or two and recording how many do you speak in a minute, yeah? Another point, you gotta have clarity. Are you missing words when you speak due to mumbling or unclear speech or you got an accent? Listen carefully to the recording of any words that you might have missed. Like me, I can easily run words, skip words, say words like in it, ain't it, all these different things. I'm just got a bit of a strong East London Cockney accent sometimes. But depending on where you are, you need to be able to adjust your accent so whoever's listening to you can hear and understand clearly what you're saying. Breathing. You gotta breathe. You know that in between words you need to breathe, isn't it? You can't be gasping for breath. Nah, like who wants to hear that? Proper breathing technique is one that goes unnoticed. Think of all the incredible speedy rappers, yeah, that exist. Like my favourite, Busta Rhymes. If you haven't heard of Busta Rhymes, you ain't even living. Busta Rhymes is one of the fastest rappers going. And have you ever, go and listen to him on YouTube now, yeah? Well, after this podcast, right? Have you ever heard Busta Rhymes breathe when he raps? Nah, babe, you've never heard. Never heard. when he raps. He's one of the fastest rappers in my book. I don't know if he's the fastest, but he's one of my favourites. When he raps, you never hear him breathe. So imagine he can use that many words, that much speed, and you never hear him breathing. So he's got an excellent control of his breath. That's one way you can improve how you speak. Pitch now, yeah, that's like the highs and lows of your voice. It's really important to vary the way you speak so your listeners can stay engaged. Like, are you monotone and like dead boring when you're talking? Do you sound like one like boring history lecturer from university days? Or have you got enough ups and downs like a roller coaster that keeps people engaged, keeps people listening? Do you know what I mean? There needs to be a happy mixture in what it is you're saying. So I hope these tips has helped you. What I spoke about today, if you've only just listened to the end part, gave you some tips on how to improve your speaking. Just being aware of that your voice is a combination of different things. Record yourself speaking. Be aware of your volume, your speed, your clarity, your breathing and your pitch. If you like this, you like my thoughts on this about how to improve how you speak, feel free to check out more of my videos and tips on YouTube. I'm on Instagram. I've got my webpage. You'll find them all on Leighanne's Voice. And if you want to improve the way you speak, I've got my new accent reduction and voice articulation course out as well. The link will be in the comments below. And of course, you know that you can book me for voiceover or speaking coaching work on Leighanne at leighannesvoice.com. And one more thing, have a great and amazing day.